Hello and welcome. In this video, you will learn how to use the PostgreSQL AVG function to calculate average value of a set of rows. The AVG function is basically used to calculate the average value of a numeric column. What that means is that the column within the table, the rows within the table that you are applying the AVG to, that column must be a numeric column in data type. The AVG is one of the most commonly used aggregate function. It can be used in a select statement, with a group by clause, and also with a having clause. So let's take a look at the syntax. AVG also ignores null values. So whereby you have null values in a set of rows that you are applying the AVG function to, it will ignore the null values. So this is what the syntax looks like. You basically indicate the name of the function, which is AVG, followed by the column you are applying the function to. I'm just loading up the PG admin. When you load up the PG admin, you may get a prompt like this saying you are currently running X version, and it tells you the current version because this PG admin tends to be updated fairly frequently. So if you get this pop-up, do not worry, you can upgrade it if you want, but I'm going to leave it for now because it's not going to impact on the course. So I'm just going to click on the X to get rid of that, and I'll upgrade it at my own convenience. So first thing you do when you're logged into the PG admin is to log in to the Postgres server if you haven't previously saved your password. So click on the plus and click on the plus again, and you get a prompt to pop your password in. So once you've entered your password, you can save it if you wish to do so. That way it doesn't prompt you all the time. And then click OK. And once you're logged in, it will tell you the server is connected. You get this message here. And then expand the database. Let's see what data. I currently have 3 databases. So the database I'm going to apply the function 2 is this DVD rental. So right click on that and click on query tool. The query tool basically contains the editor where we'll write our code. This is the editor, and this is where the output of the result of the query will be rendered. And this here, you can resize it if you wish. If you want more space on the query window, just resize that. All right. So you can see also here on the title bar, it's got the name of the database that you are executing the queries on. So it's got the DVD rental, which is this database here. So any query I write will execute against this database. So I'm going to do a quick query on a table within this database. So if you expand the schema, you will see the public schema. And within the public schema, you will see a list of objects. So we want to click on the tables object. That will give you all the tables for this database. So the table I want to look at is this table here called film. If I click on the plus sign, we can see the columns. If I click on the plus, so these are all the columns for this table called films. So before I actually apply the AVG function, I like to run a quick query on the table to see the columns. So here's a simple query. Just select statement. The asterisk means it will retrieve all these columns and the rows from each of the columns. From here indicates the table is getting the columns from. Name of the table is film, which is this one here. So I'm going to execute by clicking on this lightning bolt, and that will give me output in here. So it tells me 1,000 rows were retrieved from this table. So I've added a block of query here, this block here, and what this query is doing basically is going to find the average replacement cost. I've got a column here called replacement cost, so it's going to find the average, and I'm enclosing this AVG function inside a round function. The round function is basically going to round it up, round the result to 2 decimal places. You notice here I'll put a comma and I'll put 2. That means it will round the result in 2 decimal places, and this will be the column that will be outputted in the result here. So I have a temporary column called AVG underscore replacement cost, and under this temporary column it will give me the average for this column. So let me execute that by selecting this and clicking on the lightning bolt, and that will give me the average. There you go. So I've got 19.8. You can see it's rounded to 2 decimal places because I've used the round function to round it to 2 decimal places. So this is a basic simple example of using an AVG function. So in this simple example here, I've used the AVG just to compute the average on a column. So I'm going to show an example where I'm going to use the AVG in combination with the group by clause. When you use AVG with the group by clause, the group by clause will divide the results into various groups, and then the AVG is applied to those groups. So I'm going to show you how that works now. So I've added the query here. So in this example query here, I'm calculating the average value of a group. So I'm using the AVG function with the group by clause. So what's happening here, the group by clause will divide the rows of the tables into groups. Then the AVG function will be applied for each group. So what I'm doing in this group, in this example here, I'm calculating the average amount paid by each customer. Okay, so let me execute this and you will see it will output. So you can see here, because of the group by, we're able to group we are able to divide the rows of the table into groups, and then we apply the AVG function. That's why we're getting this result. So you can see the AVG amount on here on this side applied to each of the groups. So I've also used a table join. So you see the inner join here. Joins basically allows you to relate data in one table to data in another table, and I'm using an inner join here, basically which I'm using to join the customer table to the payment table. So I've got a table called customer. If you look in the list of tables here, there's a table called customer, and there's also one called payment. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm joining the customer ID from the customer table to the customer ID on the payment table. And then once I've joined them, I'm using the group by to divide them. I'm also using an order by. I'm ordering by the customer ID. So that's why we have this output here. So I've illustrated how to use an AVG function with a basic select statement and also with a group by clause. Next, I'm going to show you an example how to use AVG with the having clause. So here I've got a query I've added on using the AVG with the having clause. You can use the AVG function in the having clause to filter the group based on a certain condition. For example, all the customers, I can get the customers who paid the average payment bigger than $5. You can see here, say greater than. So if I wanted to get all the customers who's paid larger than $5 US, I'm using the greater sign here to indicate that. I can use the AVG with the having clause. So let me execute the query and you'll see what I mean. If I click on that, and that will give you can see the output is returned 20 rows. Notice here I have used the to_char expression. Basically what that does, it is used to convert the timestamp. It can convert the timestamp. It can also convert an interval, an integer, a double precision, or a numeric value to a string. So you usually, what I'm doing, I'm just converting a value to a string using the to_char expression. So this is how you use the AVG in combination with the having clause. You can also use the AVG with null values. Basically, a null value is a value that is unknown. So if you are applying AVG to a column that contains null values, the AVG will ignore the null values and compute based on other values, other numeric values within the column. So that's it for this lecture on the AVG aggregate function. Thank you for watching, and bye.